some really crappy political parties out there. Makes you want to chunk cards into their melons.
There we go. Not bad. I'd say about half the deck stuck, give or take.
So do you show us yourself, or you just work as a vendor?
No, I've been doing magic for about 17 years, coast to coast, doing shows and stuff like that. When COVID hit, I lost a bunch of shows and opened up a magic shop. So,
alright, what's the name of your shop?
Spellbound Magic Shop and Theaters here in Sioux Falls, 41st and Marion Road.
I'll do some name dropping for you.
Absolutely.
I'll add it to my video. You're welcome.
No problem.
Let me try. Be better. Also, we're back already. Great smile.
Dude, that's amazing. I love your costume so much. That is
Thank you. Gestures you want, or just growl a couple times. I should do some tips on doing it for you. Grab my arm, with like that'll make a great picture.
Tell us about it. Tell us how you did this.
See the man. Woo!
Yeah, he wants to do the Spider-Man name.
So then I'll just
Yeah, here, I'm gonna step back.
question about it.
I never thought I'd ever be up here.
Marriage is what brings us together today. Marriage, that blessed arrangement, that dream within a dream. And love, true love, will follow you forever. So treasure your love.
We're gathered here today to celebrate one of life's greatest moments as Tyson and Stacy renew their vows of marriage. Romance is fun, but romance is fun, but not hitting my head on a balloon, which is even more fun. True love is something far more, and their love has stood the test of time. They desire to reaffirm it, and that's why we're celebrating today. But today is also a celebration for the rest of us, for it is a pleasure for us to see love and bloom, and also take a moment to plug my business. Hi, I'm Jacob Cox, Wedding Officiant. You can visit me online at www.siouxper-con. Also on Facebook and Instagram, 605-610-9667. Jacob Cox, Wedding Officiant. So let's get on with it already. A good marriage must be created. In marriage, the little things are the big things. It's never being too old to hold hands. It's remembering to say, I love you. It's not going to sleep angry. It's standing together and facing the world. It's speaking words of appreciation and demonstrating gratitude in all ways. It's having the capacity to forgive and forget. It's giving each other an atmosphere in which each other can grow. It's a common search for the good and the beautiful. It's not only marrying the right person, it's being the right partner. As we know, there are 3 rings in marriage: the engagement ring, the wedding ring, and the suffering. But just for kicks, let's add some more rings to it. Tyson, you place them around Stacy's hand, finger. Let us look to the wisdom of the MCU as we repeat after me.
You and I, we fight for the same cause. The protection of this world. We are Groot. I have to protect the one thing I can't live without. That's you. So no matter what, I promise if you need me, I'll be there. When I drift off, I will dream about you. It's always. I'm with you to the end of time. Whatever it takes. I love you 3000.
You and I, we fight for the same cause. The protection of this world. We are Groot. I have to protect the one thing I can't live without. That's you. So no matter what, I promise to be with you. I'm gonna drift off for a drink party. It's always
your relationship work is taking love. This is the core of your marriage. Why you're still here today. It takes trust to know that in your hearts you truly want what is best for each other. It's taking dedication to stay open to one another as you continue to learn and grow together. It's taking faith as you go forward together, not knowing what the future brings. And it's taking commitment to hold true to the journey you pledged to before, pledged to make today. And so, by the power vested in me, I pronounce you husband and wife again. Not kiss her already. Let's get another big round of applause for Tyson and Stacy. Stacy was the champ. She did not know that was happening. So she was a champ about that. She's so adorable. Tyson, he helped me orchestrate all of this. Fantastic. Now I'd like to bring someone else special on stage. My lovely assistant, Shane. Shane, there's something I want to ask you for a long time. Oh my God, you people think no, here's the answer.
The answer would have been no. Brief, bright, be brief, bright, be gone. Brian says I'm none of those things, and he's right. 6 years ago, basically. Today, this. Because of everybody that puts their heart and soul into this. So please, a round of applause for our volunteers. And even louder round of applause for the vendors who load in, or load out, put their heart into this. And even louder round of applause for our guests who come here without appearance fee to meet you. To our founder, Brian Brockmeyer, thank you for bringing me on board 6 years ago. Thank you for having the courage to say, hey, if you threw a comic book convention, will you show up? To the all volunteer staff, present and past, we love you, we appreciate you. Give them a round of applause. To our three-time Mario Kart champion, Danny. There's a group that gets forgotten way too often. This takes a lot of work. And I'm not joking when I say this takes a lot of work. And it's the kids, the partners, the spouses, the cats, the chickens, the dogs. No, seriously, Michelle has cats, chickens, and dogs. We love you, and you guys sacrificed by all with us. I always believe people smarter than me. And I was always told put the right people in the right place. And I want to recognize, I consider to recognize all of you because I love all of you who made this a success. But I want to recognize someone and she's going to stand up and I'm going to embarrass her horribly. Michelle and I talked about this a while ago and we said we're going to do this. 6 years ago, a young girl in Pikachu ears volunteered for Siouxper-con. And this year, this amazing woman Family Day, they donated a lot of money, and Caitlin kicked ass. She's the MVP. Get up, girl. Get up. We watched you grow, we watched you mature, and you put 6 hours of entertainment on this stage today, plus everything else you did over the weekend. We love you, we thank you. Sit down. So, Jake, I think we're doing this again sometime?
That's my understanding. It's getting next year, so that's that. Retromania! Be there in Square! Siouxper-con Retromania! Waka waka waka. Pac-Man, stand up. Who loves Pac-Man? Yeah! Retromania. See you next year. See you next year, everyone.
Chapter 5.
Someone has to keep the documentary while we're closing.
Well, folks, hello, I'm Mr. Crystalman, alias Dr. Strange Sage. Siouxper-con 2021 was quite a success. It's finally over. Of course, there's a couple of drawbacks. There's some guests who couldn't make it on time and some who couldn't make it at all. And our 5th cosplay judge could not make it. Could have used extra help. That was quite a mindful. So, for attending conventions, how do I manage? In some cases, people with costumes find it really difficult or inconvenient to have a mask on, an anti-COVID mask. Most of us have had vaccinations anyway, so such a mask is more of a courtesy than an actual function. And then those who have to wear helmets are already hot and difficult to breathe without an additional mask underneath. So I am, over these last 2 years, disappointed that people have not thought of this, and what couple of times I mentioned it, haven't really taken it to mind. So what I carried with me, easy stuff that I got from a superstore. First, I use the mouthwash to disinfect the mouth. I take just the tiniest sip, just enough to wet my mouth and the back of my throat, so I don't necessarily have to have some place to go spit. And tiny little bottle of sanitizer. And for you guys, this one's sandalwood scented. So it mixes well with whatever cologne you did or didn't happen to wear. So these are my really good suggestions. Carried them in a little velvet bag on the side of my belt, which helped disguise it with my Doctor Strange and Grindelwald costumes. The cosplay judging. A lot of people want insights and they want understanding as to why they did or did not win and how they could do better next time. You had your expert cosplayers who are marked for craftsmanship as well. And I'm not very fluent in this. That's why I edit a lot of my stuff, so I sound a lot more normal and presentable. Less of an introvert. Okay, expert category on down through intermediate, novice, and closet cosplay. And there are walk-ons later who are very last-minute people who just like to get on stage, show off their costume, who are not judged at all. And then there's the children's category, which is no judgment, just ribbons and such, acknowledgement for their getting on stage and showing off their costumes. So, for the expert through closet cosplay. On our judges' scorecards, we had 4 distinctive categories, all scored 1 through 10. There was a +1 to be circled if the person brought photo references to their making their costume or part of their costume. So that was an extra point for that. Actually, I would have recommended that be a +10 because people can make a lot of claims to hand stitching their outfits, and I'd say most of them who did make that claim really did look like that. I do my own hand stitching, so I know what to look for. I notice the tiny variations in the seams to tell whether they did or didn't, and the way they talk about it will reveal their level of expertise with it. People who do it professionally will have certain things that they would say. So some people, I think, were fibbing a little. Well, anyway, the categories were, the first one was how a person presents themselves, how they describe their cosplay, and whether, well, to what degree they express themselves as that character, how much they role play that character. So that's a 1 through 10 score for that one. Two of the categories were really close to each other, so I'll mention them out of order. Okay, the other was what percentage of their costume the competitor made themselves. So we give them a 1 to 10 score based upon how much was store-bought and how much they made themselves. Another one was how good of a job they did in putting it all together. And the fourth category was how it looks overall, how realistic, how much it resembles the actual character they're portraying or copying from movies, animation, comics, any of that. How well it matches and how it's hard to find the right term, how animated it looks. In other words, what I'm thinking is, if they were to come out of that world or that movie or that comic and step out in front of me, how real would they look? How much would that convince me that they just popped right out of there and came into this reality? So that's another 1 to 10 score. So those scores are added up and put into a machine, and that does the quick calculation as to who the winners in those categories would be. Then before that's presented to the audience, the judges look it over and they pick out their judges' favorites, and we make sure they do not match the actual winners and we don't match each other. So we have another 4 people or groups. There are some people who cosplay together as a group. There's 4 additional winners to a degree who are recognized as favorites. So you got your 4 categories of winners, expert through novice and closet cosplay, and then your judges' favorites. So that gives us 8 in all, which I think is a really good idea. And it also helps put aside and highlight the favoritism. That way it's separate from the strict technical judging aspect. So there you go, folks. For those, well, that's what goes into who wins and who doesn't. And am I doing the judging? Or even before I was a judge, I would see some of the best people. There could be 3 to 5 people who are equally just as great. They look very realistic in portraying their characters, and their job is outstanding. And I would have to have a game dice to roll, equivalent of a coin toss, to decide between those people because there are a lot of close calls. Lots of close calls. Even for my judge's favorite pick, it was a hard choice. There was 5 of them I liked equally. And the other judges had already picked 2 of those. And so I had to narrow it down to the best, and I included the role play that went into it. And out of the mother and 2 daughters who played characters out of the animated series Demon Slayer, the little girl almost perfectly portrayed the little girl in there who was partially demonically affected but not entirely turned over. And she had this little mouthpiece in to keep her from biting people. And whenever people would talk to her, she would always answer, it's just like that. And the kid was so shy that she just naturally did that and played in so well. And then the older daughter, she had the sharp teeth in, but she was a bit shy and apprehensive. She wasn't showing them. And I catch all the small details because that's my autistic orientation, hypersensitive, and just barely saw the sharp teeth. And I asked her about that. The other judges didn't catch that. Got her to smile and talk about that. Here's the white face paint with the red spots and such. And she represented that character pretty well because it was a male in the series, and he was really disgruntled about having to, well, first not being able to kill the little girl because she was part demonic and they're expecting her to go totally demonic. And so being that she was still part human, that he was to guard her the entire time. I may not be remembering this accurately. It's been 2 years since I've seen that series. And the mother played her role pretty well. Not so much in the personality cosplaying, but the decoration and holding it together with her girls, and there were no conflicts or disagreements between any of them, which I really enjoyed as well. My other choice, which was very, 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 very close, was Red Riot. And it's because it was her first time cosplay, and she went to the full extent of having these multiple teeth and fangs that she went through a great deal of trouble to put together. And one of the other judges explained how complex that was, and it was a product I never heard of. And she had also literally trimmed her eyebrows, cut part of them off so they were short, had that painted red, and just the makeup job was really good. The physical costume could have been a little bit of a higher skill level, but it was her first time, so it's perfectly understandable, because even my first time costumes of a different variety, of various types, had a lot of flaws and were not top quality, show worthy. Actually, my Doctor Strange costume took me 3 years to really advance, and even though people are really impressed with it, I can still think of improvements I can make on it. And it's not movie accurate, but it all blends together really well to make my own version of a very whole and very, very realistic version of Doctor Strange. Okay, so that covers the cosplay judging and my decisions. Now, something that's to be considered unacceptable was that there was a young man who was playing one of the Mortal Kombat characters. He did not know I was a judge. So I got in late on the cosplay parade throughout the section of the convention center that was for Siouxper-con. And repeatedly he kept swinging his swords at me and putting it up to my neck and making insults to me as Doctor Strange about, am I going to get killed or being unworthy and all of that stuff. And he kept doing that repeatedly. And I was pretty polite about just, somebody wanted to take my picture, and then he steps in, puts his sword up to my neck. I'm like, I take that sword gently, push it back. No, that is not acceptable. He kept staring at me. I don't know why he hated me, but he did for some reason. He didn't do any of that stuff with anybody else. So later on, I am at the judges' table when the costume contest is about to start, and I see him out in the audience standing up staring at me. And I did this to him. Waved my finger. He turned the other direction, just kind of shuffled about and looked a bit disgruntled but discouraged. I hope I made him sweat, because he should have gotten the message right there that he made a big mistake. That you never know who a person is or what role they're playing, and you don't want to compromise your reputation and your standing in a contest. If he had gone just a little bit further, I would have called for him to be removed from the convention entirely. So keep that in mind, people. If you're unhappy with somebody, or even after the costume contest is over, don't go complain to the judges. We only get 5 minutes to listen to you and look over your stuff and decide between well over 30 people. I lost count of how many people we had to judge, and having to score 4 categories, 1 through 10, within 5 minutes, and listening to everybody and checking out their outfit. It is a very challenging process. And I know how it feels. I've lost a few before that a Halloween costume contests and a convention costume contest where the judging system was not advanced and a lot of favoritism came into play. I've lost some, and yeah, I was upset, but I had the civility and conscience to not go put them down, complain, or harass or threaten. It's never in my nature, but some people actually do that. Don't enter in the first place if you don't have if you're very freely expressive. If you're not emotionally disciplined, just don't do it. Well, anyway, hopefully that gives you some insight. And for now, this is Dr. Strange Sage signing off, and safe and happy cosplaying. And don't forget your mouthwash.